Hey, what's going on, everybody? Rob Satch from FeedbackWRENCH. Today I want to talk about how do you know if Google search is the search ads, Bing ads, how do you know if paid search advertising is right for you and your business or you and your industry? Because sometimes it's definitely not. And I want to share some super specific examples of when it's not and when you shouldn't look at it. So I'm going to dive in right now. So here's the other thing. Just remember, I'm going to keep hitting on this. I think there's two types of marketing. I think you've got everybody gets so excited about Facebook and LinkedIn advertising. Oh, if you just create content on there, those are great, but that's disruptive advertising and it's disruptive content. You know, people are just sitting there humming through things, and you could certainly build relationships with people through social media. You can be top of mind. People can understand who you are. I get sales off of social media. It totally works for a lot of my customers too, but it is disruptive marketing. People don't necessarily, you can't know that they're buyers if they're sitting there mindlessly scrolling through Facebook. You have no idea. You might be able to target them because they were on your website, but even then, you have no idea if they're buyers or not. However, inbound, search-based advertising, Google ads and Bing ads are sweet because through a search query, you can pretty much know they're going to buy. Because if I search for remodeling contractors near me, or if I'm looking for anything, a camera, it doesn't matter what it, maybe I'm looking for a painter, commercial painting companies near me. There's only two reasons why I would search that. Either one, I'm like in the business of it and I want to find out my competitors, or two, I'm actually looking for that solution. So remember, when it comes down to the inbound assets, there's only a couple of them you can control. You've got your website, you've got YouTube, you've got your Google My Business profile, and then your Bing profile. There's some things that pop up in the rich snippets of a Google search engine result page, such as Twitter and your YouTube feed, but ultimately it comes down to your website, Google My Business, and your web footprint. And there's kind of a lot that goes into that. But here's what I really want to talk about is how do you know search advertising is right for you? There's some areas that you need to know about of when it's not. Well, when it is pretty easy after you hear these different things. So real quick, if you've got giant juggernauts in your space and you're on a national platform, it gets really hard to do search advertising. For example, if you're an insurance agent or an investment agent, it gets extremely hard to do paid search advertising because you're up against Vanguard and Schwab. You're up against Wall Street. If your keywords are dominated by big national players, if you're up against State Farm, for crying out loud, it's going to be really hard for you to win. So paid search advertising might not be right for you unless what you do is you get more specific and you find a niche. So you find a nuanced version of that keyword to go after, or you're able to spend less on a smaller or spend more on a targeted group of people, almost like you're going to buy a higher quality click and make messaging straight for them. Because one thing that the big people, so Zillow is a classic example. Zillow, Redfin, and all of these companies in real estate are really hard to go against when it comes down to homes for sale. But then if you pick a small group and you overbid them, you'll win. Or if you pick a sub niche and you say, I'm going homes for sale, Lakeville. Or if you go lake homes for sale in Lakeville, Minnesota, or land for sale, you'll see that Zillow and those guys have that in their bid campaigns, but it's not as easy for them to beat you. And so if you niche down, either choose who you're going to go after, make an audience of a different group, or change your messaging, or add some sort of qualifier or something that changes it, it's going to be perfect. So if you're up against big dogs like that, that's going to be difficult. And finances is a big one. Bookkeeping, for example, a bookkeeping company, you got to be careful going after bookkeeping or payroll. Payroll and bookkeeping are dominated by Intuit, Gusto, and some of these other big firms out there. It's really hard for you to win in those spaces unless you niche way down and you find the ones that trigger your Google My Business. So that's the first one. Got big national, if you're on a national playing field and you're going up against big behemoth, 10-ton gorillas are going to be hard for you to beat. That's the first thing. The second thing is if you just have muddled keywords. So for example, I was working with this therapist and she was great. We did a ton of good work. It wasn't that successful though. We ended up running campaigns and she ended up deciding, you know what? I'm going to try something else because we just found out things were muddled. Things weren't working that great, but there's another reason why, and that'll come to the second one. But first, let's talk about muddled keywords. If some of your keywords, like if you're looking for therapists for depression, you think about the words depression and therapist, you know, they may sound core commercial, like someone's trying to find a therapist, but they might be looking for articles written by therapists. It might not lead to leads. And if you can't identify core commercial keywords that are probably going to lead to sales, particularly if you're in an area that's more expensive, or if you're in a field or sector that is more competitive, it can get really hard to get transactions. On the other note, usually when there's muddled keywords, what you'll find is that they aren't expensive. So muddled keywords where it's not super clear, you could get in front of people really easily, but it's hard to really know, were they searching that because they really wanted a solution? And you'll end up doing more of a shotgun blast rather than a sniper rifle search campaign at them. So that can be hard. The third thing is if your upside isn't big enough in comparison to what it costs to get clicks. Now, if you do a cost per acquisition, so I got a couple examples. I have somebody who's selling a small piece of hardware right now. Amazon works really well for him. It's going well. It's about a $13 item. And what we're learning is that the upside on paid search and paid Facebook advertising is really hard because it just costs money to get in front of people. Now, actually, paid search is probably going to be much cheaper than the Facebook advertising. But if your upside isn't very high, you're not going to want to spend a lot if the keywords are high in proportion to what you're doing. And usually what happens is, we're back to number one. When that happens, you're usually bidding up against Thumbtack, Home Advisor, Houzz. You know, some of these big aggregators, stupid Home Advisor and Angie's List, I mean, they have big budgets to throw against, and they're buying advertising on television, on Hulu, on like not Netflix, but Hulu, and a lot of these internet TV, and they're big and dominant in search. And I'll tell you what, Thumbtack, Home Advisor, Houzz, Angie's List, those guys are driving up the bids. And so what happens is if you're only doing handyman stuff and you're charging, you're making $80 every time you go out there, if you're spending $20 to actually get that client, that's probably not worth it. So if your upside isn't big enough, it's going to be really hard to do it. Those are two major reasons why search cannot be right for you. The other thing is if you don't have a website with good trust signals, if you haven't done the work to show the work that you do, to show your personality, to convey the trust that you've earned, you don't have reviews on Google if you're local, if you don't have any way to show you are who you claim to be, or if your website's just nonsense and it doesn't connect, it doesn't solve problems, everything's just off, don't advertise, for crying out loud. You have to have the things in place to bring people along the buyer's journey. They're going to become aware of their problem. They're going to consider solutions, and then they're actually going to buy something. And you need to have the assets digitally to move them around to do that. So you're going to move the ball down the field professionally, digitally through that. But then also you need to be connecting along the way and conveying who you are. YouTube videos are great for that. There's all sorts of different things that can help you do that. Photography of your region, like you and your neighborhood and your town and your team and you and the work that you've done, your clients and everything. If you don't have those in place, don't do paid advertising. You got to get the trust signals. You have to have a good mousetrap before you put cheese out. Otherwise, you're just going to get rid of cheese. And here's the fourth and fifth thing are together. I don't know what number I'm on. You got to remember that this is buying seed for your farm. Your business is a farm. And when you go buy seed for your farm, you're going to produce. You're going to trade, $10,000 for $250,000. If you're going to spend $1,500, $3,800, $10,000 a month in Google Ads, you are going to reap bigger benefits if you're doing it wisely. And if you view it that way, you can absolutely dominate. And I want to rant a little bit here. I meet so many business owners that don't want to actually, I don't meet them that often anymore, but I know when I was first starting up at Nuance, you go to these networking groups and you talk to these people, they will do all sorts of stuff to waste their time rather than just get in front of the right people at the right time that need the right solution. You'll go to networking groups, you'll have coffee with people. I got a question for you. If I told somebody was searching for remodeling company near me, would you go buy them dinner for $15? I bet you would. That's what paid search advertising is. Paid search advertising is they have identified that they're either in the business of or they are looking for a solution for that thing. Invest in it. You'd buy them coffee. You'd talk to them on the phone. Get in front of them. For crying out loud, do not waste your life and your time. The most successful clients that I work for spend hundreds, if not thousands, a day on paid search advertising because they know that it's just the best. It just works. And I'm telling you, folks, it's what's built my business. It's what's building my customers' businesses. Trust me when I say it's worth it. Don't waste your time screwing around, posting on Facebook. Like, stop it. It doesn't work very long. Get in front of the people that want an answer to their question. Facebook can work, but not compared to paid search advertising, which leads me to the last thing. If you don't have any money to invest in your business, then you need to save up to invest in your business. And this is more important than you buying a wrap for your truck. This is more important than you getting new signs and investing in all this nonsense. Get your digital footprint up and running and then invest in paid search advertising. Do it and you can win. But you have to do some other hard work. You got to get those trust signals in place. You got to grind for a year or 3, right? This isn't like you just start and do it right away. You need to go out and do it for free a couple times. You need to build a reputation. I love working with clients. I just had a call from a guy today. He's a painting company out of North Carolina. I'm looking forward to connecting with him. I think we can help him big time. But he's been doing it right, hustling in person for a long time, making sales calls. He has a great sales process. He has a team. He has capacity. That'd be another thing. Don't do advertising if you don't have capacity. If you're a feast or famine shop, do advertising in your off season. Then during the feast time, don't advertise. Like, fill the areas that you have capacity on. And the reason why I'm getting excited about this is because this can help you feed your family. This can provide work and jobs for other people. It can help the communities around you. And you deserve to get in front of the right people at the right time. Give me a call. Go to FeedbackWRENCH.com. It's Rob@FeedbackWRENCH.com. But good luck with everything you're doing, folks. And remember that let's love each other. I disagree with a ton of you politically, and that's okay. That's not who you are. And I probably disagree with you with all sorts of things. But I tell you what, I know that we have the same creator and he loves you. And I'm telling you that there are good things in this life, even if things go down the crapper and things get ugly, which I don't think they will. But even if they did, there's more than that. And keep an eye on that. Good luck, guys.